bag on a stock that was basically dead. Had the whole squad laughing, said I lost my head. My charts look cursed like a demon possessed it. Options down bad, but I still went and pressed it. Held through the dip like a drunk at a fight. Then that candle shot up like a thief in the night. Trade station froze, tried to block my trade. Called him up quick like run me my pay. Analyst said I was out of my mind. Now I'm buying out bars off a God-tier climb. They hedge, I bet, they sweat, I flex. Whole damn portfolio built off stress. Maxed out margin, I ain't had to say. If this trade goes wrong, I ain't paying my rent. Whiskey on my desk, charts looking like flames. If I blow this account, I'ma double down again. The collector's knocking, told him buy the dip. If I lose it all, I'ma blame the Fed real quick. Wrist to the moon, brain cells to the dirt. If I cash out now, then I never put in work. Took a YOLO on a ticker that ain't even make sense. Now I'm pouring champagne like it's common expense. Twitter said sell, but I bet against the herd. Now they in my DMs trying to act like they learned. Turn my last 5 bills to a house-size stack. Now the same ones hating trying to piggyback. Told my landlord he can kiss my debt, cause I just bought the complex and raised his rent. Mad money moves, I ain't watching no Kramer. I see red, I go in like a Vegas hater. Risk it all, let the charts decide. If I win, then we up. If I lose, we ride. Maxed out margin, I ain't hedge a cent. If this trade goes wrong, I ain't paying my rent. Whiskey on my desk, charts looking like flames. If I blow this account, I'ma double down again. Debt collectors knocking, told them buy the dip. If I lose it all, I'ma blame the Fed real quick. Wrist to the moon, brain cells to the dirt. If I cash out now, then I never put in work. I could've been wrecked, I could've been gone. Instead I'm at the top and I'm taxing the throne. Broker hit my line like, boy, you a menace. Told him send the wire, then I blew it in minutes. Stupid. Dumbest trades keep paying my bills. If risk had a god, then I'm in his will. Told my girl I retire in June. Now it's looking like I might just buy the moon. Went from ramen packs to filet mignon. All from playing this game so wrong. Maxed out margin, I ain't hedge a cent. If this trade goes wrong, I ain't paying my rent. Whiskey on my desk, charts looking like flames. If I blow this account, I'ma double down again. Debt collectors knocking, told them buy the dip. If I lose it all, I'ma blame the Fed real quick. Wrist to the moon, brain cells to the dirt. If I cash out now, then I never put in work.
Oh, brother, oh, brother, oh, brother.
Hola, 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 mi amigos. We are back. I just got off the plane, and this is a little bit of a specialty show. I set the lighting up right. I don't know why it's this dim, but hey, it's a little bit romantic. And, I guess why not? Because it looks like we're all about to get fucked by the market. So I feel like the lighting, if anything, is appropriate. So we're starting this a little bit early because I want to chit-chat about some important things before the market officially closes. We have about 12 minutes before the world's largest casino goes dingity ding ding ding. So I want to talk about that, but then we're going to be staying after, because at 4 p.m., right when the market closes, we're going to be hearing from the Commander-in-Chief, the 47th President, Donald J. Trump, going to be announcing some new tariffs. So things are going to get a little bit spicy. And by a little bit spicy, I'm talking about like biryani level spicy from like the depths of India. Like this is going to get a hot one. This is going to be a hot one. So I want to do a quick market wrap up. Then we're going to listen to Trump. Then I'm going to wrap up the whole situation. And in between that, I'll show you my new positions. I'll show you the options flow. I'll talk about everything going on. So that's the plan. I hope you guys are ready. And man, oh man, is this a wild ride. I mean, the market is just... it's getting goosed. The S&P 500 hits low of session, down 1% ahead of new auto tariff announcement, and it is a bloodbath. Obviously, the biggest ones, technology, financials, consumer cyclical, communication services, all pretty red. There are some subsectors with green, energy, consumer defensive, but there's quite a bit more red in the heat map than there is green. And like I said, it is really tech specific right now. The NASDAQ 100 falls 2% as tariff angst roils stocks. This is just their market wrap. If we have enough time, we can come back to that. But even the big banks are now saying, dude, what in the hell is happening? This is coming out just today. Barclays cuts the S&P 500 target to lowest on Wall Street as tariff pressure mounts. Folks, I know over the past week or so, the big word that I've been telling all you guys is uncertainty. That's what's going on in the market, and that's exactly what the market doesn't like, and yet it is where we are. So right now, you guys know recently I made a killing on the multi-day pop. I actually switched that up today. I locked in all that money. I think I cleared about $125,000, $135,000 amongst all of the accounts, not counting futures, just from the call options on the swing account and on the day trading account. And then today, when things started to break down, in all reality, because of my flights and my personal life schedule, I didn't even know what was going on, but my trailing stop loss was hit. I looked at the options market, decided to switch it up, and I've just been riding puts into this entire thing. 10K, 10K, 3K, 3K. So are we getting a bit of a bounce right here? A little bit of a bounce coming in. But overall, I mean, they were up more. What is more so bouncing? I'm kind of confused in real time. Where is this? Oh, Tesla catching a little bit of a bounce in the close here. We have 10 minutes until the show really gets going. Until the show really gets going. And the reason for that is Trump to announce auto tariffs today, according to the White House. Trump to announce new auto tariffs today, Wednesday. President Donald Trump will announce new tariffs on auto imports today, Wednesday. Trump will unveil the new tariffs during a press conference in the Oval Office at 4 p.m. Eastern, according to the White House press secretary. So we have a couple minutes until that's going down. Trump on Monday had hinted that the auto tariffs could arrive prior to April 2nd, the day his sweeping reciprocal tariff plan is set to begin, aka Liberation Day. Trump says tariff coming in April will probably be more lenient than reciprocal. I'll probably be more lenient than reciprocal because if I was reciprocal, that would be very tough for people. I know there are some exceptions and it's ongoing discussion, but not too many exceptions. So that's the setup. We are waiting for Trump to address the nation, the world, our trade partners, our bank accounts, our trading accounts at 4 p.m. today, right after the market closes. Going into market close, we're seeing a little bit of profit taking play out right now. Let me get rid of all of these. We just have too many pages up. We're seeing a little bit of profit taking. No surprise that we're basically finding support off this key level of 5,700, which is a huge technical level, a huge psychological level, a huge open interest level. So we did undershoot it a little bit, but just barely. And if anything, we're actually now bouncing back up to where we kind of opened up on Monday of this week with that nice gap up from, once again, Trump-related tariff news. So I am very much watching 5,700 as an important line in the sand. And when I say I'm watching it, it's going to be more so with respect to tomorrow because we're not getting this announcement until after the market closes. So we're going to be having to look at the ETFs and some of the equities and really just the futures market is going to give us the best indication of what's going on. But this is a massively important level. We are seeing a little bit of optimism ever since 15 minutes into Power Hour. We pumped, we came in, put in a high low, found support right at 5,700, showing a little bit of life, a little bit of exuberance right now. If we switch over to the 1 minute, this is the delta flow on the day. It's been pretty bearish all day. We're seeing a little bit of a pickup right here. Is that enough to get me out of my positions? We're kind of seeing, ever since really we started the show, 15 minutes ago, I'm seeing what is happening. It's the double doozy. Some people are buying 0 DTE calls, but no one's really touching longer dated stuff. They actually sold more of those calls there. That might be telling. You could see the gamma's getting all messed up. When it started off today, there was quite a bit of positive gamma, and now it's just getting messed up, and we're actually bouncing off the positive gamma. So we're at key levels. We're at a very important inflection point. We almost broke below it. Obviously, we didn't, but this is where we're at now. I'm very closely watching this, very keenly watching this, and I do want to remind you that not only are we getting these announcements and data drops right after the market closes today in a mere few minutes, but tomorrow morning, an hour before the market opens, we are getting the GDP report at 8:30 and simultaneously the initial jobless claims, which really does make the question of swinging these positions overnight. It really does complicate that. Because we just have so many things that are going to happen between market close today and market open tomorrow that could have a huge impact. So I guess before the markets do close, I want to turn it over to you, as you guys are my employed financial advisors. Right now, I had calls going into today, locked those in, made a ton of money. The market started to break down, so I got into puts. And now my question to all of you is would you take this risk? Would you personally take this risk swinging these overnight? Do you think that what Trump's about to do is going to nuke the market, or do you think it's going to be positive and we're going to have a big gap up? So between Trump's announcement, we also have GDP, we also have initial jobless claims. We have three pretty impactful things that are going to happen between market close today, market open tomorrow, and it really does complicate this question of, is it worthwhile to hold puts? I have S&P 500 puts, I have NASDAQ 100 puts, I have NVIDIA puts, and I have Tesla puts. Those, nope, sell. It's a big risk. In the Discord, we were kind of talking about the game theory of it, of like, is he intentionally doing it when the market's not open, or is it just like an aspect of his schedule and his life, and that's really what's going on? I do have this link right here when he starts talking live in, oh wait, this says 5 p.m. It was supposed to be 4 p.m. Did they schedule it for the wrong time? Because is the AP screwing us over? Donald Trump speaks on auto tariffs 101. Here, maybe we go over to Caroline Leavitt holds the White House press. Which one is this one? This had to be from earlier.
Terrible friends of mine are virtually
participate in the women's. I want to get confirmation on this time. Can you guys confirm and or deny? Because CNBC was saying 4 p.m. and their source was during the press conference today. But then if you look at the AP, they're actually saying a different time. Dude, this is all, I saw 4 p.m. too, but now I don't know why the AP, unless like literally was it a scheduling mistake for them? Man, this is making the whole thing that much more complicated. But even with that complication, remember, price is king. And what I want to show you is obviously we have this series of higher highs and higher lows, but we did snap it. If there were a reversal, this is what reversals look like. Now, sometimes you look like this and you don't get it, but then there's also a pretty freaking evident downside gap plate of 5670, which makes me think we started to pierce it. Makes me feel like that's a realistic target for tomorrow. And granted, we're not necessarily breaking down this trend line. If we broke the trend line, the play gets even more exciting. But even to play for like this trend line bounce, like that's still also perfectly the downside gap fill on SPX. So that's one thing I'm thinking about. Very similar setup in Tesla, downside gap fill. You could be looking at this trend line. Does it hold? Does it not hold? Your guess is as good as mine. We're always just looking for high risk or low risk, high reward situations. But once again, a topping pattern with the downside gap fill not that far away. Obviously, none of this is a guarantee. I would actually argue that NVIDIA looks even worse. It failed to make a new high. We have a lower high, double top situation, like kind of a weird oblong shoulder head, shoulder snapping the neckline, and surprise, surprise, downside gap fill to 112.24. So all these things have downside gap fills, and none of them have hit them yet. Actually, AVGO, Broadcom really getting goose right now. MSTR looking a little bit stronger. Palantir looking a little bit stronger. Meta, kind of a similar technical setup, downside gap fill to 597. Rum was green for a decent portion of the day, going slightly red now. Netflix a bit stronger. He's currently speaking at the women's event. Is this currently live?
created and caused, but just by his spending, two things, his spending, but
oh,
I think
brother.
more important, he destroyed our energy policy.
Oh, brother.
And energy started going up, gasoline, any form of energy went through the
We're
roof.
waiting.
And then
all right,
what he did,
you have
get it
2.5 minutes if you're trying to do something in the market close
let
here.
Him drill, let him, they were very, very concerned. And it was too late because that jackrabbit had gotten out of the nest. And it was too late. They really screwed us up.
It's at 4 p.m., but he won't speak till 6:15. Are you sure, or are you just talking shit?
Open borders.
If we're trying to find the time, it's not helpful if you're just saying random ass shit.
But all over the world, they came in from Africa, from Asia.
When do your puts expire? That's for people in the Discord.
Prisons were emptied into our country. I call them prisons and jails, prison being a slightly tougher term, but the prisons and jails were emptied into our country. The mental institutions and insane asylum, same thing. Insane asylum is mental institution on steroids, right? I used to say Dr. Hannibal Lecter, the great Dr. Hannibal Lecter is in a hotel room near you.
Yeah, right here. Trump will unveil the new tariffs during a press conference in the Oval Office at 4 p.m.
Fake news would say, why does he keep mentioning Hannibal Lecter? I said, you know why? Because we just won an election. We got a lot of votes because of Hannibal Lecter. We don't want to
Right
have
here.
Hannibal Lecter in our country.
4 p.m. The president delivers remarks
we watched
on auto
what was
tariffs.
happening to destroy our country, and
It is on
a
the schedule
woman,
for right
by
at
the way,
market
the head
close.
Of Homeland Christie is doing a great job. Christie Nome. She's doing a great job. She's getting them out. And Tom Homan. But Tom Homan and Christie Nome.
All right, if you're making decisions, you got to make it now.
Tough. She might be tougher than Tom.
You have 1 minute.
Pretty tough, right? I'd say Tom is central casting, but he says, I think she might be tougher than me. So we needed that because she's dealing with a rough group of people. Millions
SPY
and millions
coming
of
down
people.
a little bit
21
here.
million people came
Here's
in.
a final look at the options
At
flow.
least 3 million are serious
Options
criminals.
flow bleeding off a
Many of
little
them are
bit into the
murderers,
final minute on the SPY,
11,088.
and it's actually pumping
And
on the
of
Mag
that
7.
number,
So
about
two
half
completely
have murdered
different
more than
stories.
one person. This is not going to end well. So we're getting them out in record numbers, and we're having a lot of problems with the courts because the courts want to pretend they're president, and they're not president. They didn't get 80 million votes, and they're not. They can't do that to this country. That's not their job. But we're getting them out in record numbers, and it's going to save a lot of lives. We got some really bad people in this country.
SPY.
But you see the ones
10
we're taking
seconds
out.
left.
Trendy Aragua, the toughest of all gangs, MS-13.
Oh,
And we're getting
right
them
above
out.
the
So in
breakdown
just 2
level.
months,
This is a huge
core
breakdown
inflation
level.
has dropped to its lowest pace in 4 years.
All right.
We've got it going down. The groceries, I
Dingity
told you
ding
about
ding
it,
ding.
energy of all
The
kinds,
market
gasoline.
is closed
It's fallen
on
more now,
the
$3.
day.
$3 for the first
Drop of
time in
1%. SPY dropped 1.19. Qs dropped 1.84. Bitcoin down 1. Tesla down 5.6. Nvidia down 6. Broadcom down 4.7. MSTR down 3.6. Palantir 4. Meta 2. Rum 2. Netflix 2. Microsoft 1. Apple 1. It is a bloodbath. The only green thing I see is volatility, which is picking up 7%, which is an inverse indicator to the overall market, or I should say it has inverse correlation. So vol is pumping as the market is dumping. And man, oh man, did we crack some key levels of the day. Let's do a quick analysis. All right, let's get this. Currently waiting. Let me get rid of this just so it doesn't confuse anyone. We kind of don't need that anymore. Obviously, this is today's high, low, and close. And we are just kind of now awkwardly waiting to see what the hell this speech is. It is on the schedule for 4 p.m., but he does appear to be at a different event. Fox is saying 4 p.m. as well. So maybe is the other thing like pre-recorded, or I mean, it's supposed to start here at 4. So, all right, we're just now kind of waiting. This is going to be important. This is going to be important. What do we have going on? So he's at some Women's History Month event right now. So I guess right after that, what's Bloomberg talking about? Are they chit-chatting about any of this?
Treasury Reserve asset company did also report fourth quarter net sales that tumbled 28% year over year. Just a reminder that the fundamental business, certainly not so interesting, but nonetheless interesting for investors in today's session. Dollar Tree up more than 9% at its highs today,
They're not
finishing the day
talking
with
about it. They're not talking about it. We're just waiting. Patient. Trying to be patient.
I remember when
Oh,
this
it is
news
literally the exact same lady. Okay. I didn't know if they had a different cut there. Well, that was kind of an interesting change there. So the SPY, ever since 9:40 this morning, the delta just dropped. There was a bounce up until about 11:10, and then we really dumped. And then from there, it was kind of a bleed off. Into the end of the day, there was a bit of a pump right here from 9:47 from 3:47 to 3:52. We got about a 5-minute pump, and then that stopped, and even that got hit. But what's interesting is here, there's really probably no point in looking at the 0DT because that's now officially burned off because the day's over. So this is the movement of the all expiration. But you can see how tightly correlated this is. See how they're so tightly correlated, as in people, the fact that they were together means it was being driven by 0DTE movement. And a good example of that differential is right here. Look at the puts. People were more aggressively buying longer dated puts than the 0DT, which explains this gap. So what I'm seeing is no real movement on the call side of the S&P 500 today, but people were getting into longer dated puts. And you could see that it kind of really started around 950 where the delta got a bit more extreme. And you could see it from the literal gap between these two blue lines. So the fact that the gap actually kind of got to its widest pretty much at the end of the day tells me that there is at minimum some legit hedging going on in the market. But then the Mag 7's a bit of a different story because you saw call selling all day. People were just getting out of calls and buying puts. And then it kind of recovered till about 11:20, and then we vomited it all the way to 3:40. And then there was actually a decent recovery there. Some people closed out puts, and some people were getting into calls for this Friday. That's the next expiration on the Mag 7. So the Mag 7 and the S&P 500 telling us slightly different stories, but both stories are favoring the bears. I just want to keep coming back to this and checking to make sure that I'm not missing anything. If you guys see that it's starting and I'm like somehow missing it as we're doing this breakdown, please yell at me. Please yell at me and be like, yo, dude, it's going. So we're just waiting on Trump to start talking at seemingly any moment here, but he does appear to be at an event for Women History Month. So maybe on the conclusion of that is where he's going to then go over. I mean, it's scheduled for right now. And this was all announced today by the White House press secretary. So that's what we're waiting on. I was kind of hoping it'd be happening right at this exact moment, but apparently that's not what we're getting. So anyway, that was the breakdown of the options flow throughout the day. We really don't need that page. But what I found interesting is looking at the options chain. Let me go over this and let me actually update it so I can give you guys the most real-time information. And this is truly what I think is, it's telling that something is going on underneath. It really is. So coming into today, looking at the entire open interest on the S&P 500, the overall market, it was dominated by puts. There was more open interest puts than there was open interest calls, looking at the entire chain. But looking at tomorrow, Thursday, not that big of a day, it was call dominated to start the day. It is now put dominated, and it's basically saying, hey, big transition zone between 5,700 and 5,750. So between here and basically here, this whole zone, as of right now, before Trump speaks, it's basically saying for tomorrow's expiration, this is a transition zone. Potentially bullish above it, potentially bearish below it, but this is a giant transitional zone. That's just for tomorrow. What's really interesting is when you include the 28th, this Friday, which starting off today, it was put dominated. Starting off today, this Friday, because of the JP Morgan position, it is the put side of their collar position. JP Morgan, the bank, has every single quarter, they put on this giant collar position. They buy the underlying, the S&P 500. They sell calls, giving them a ceiling. And with the premium they collect, they end up buying puts for protection. That put protection is at 5565, which is, 150 points away from where we are right now. So anyway, that expires tomorrow. And due to the fact that we're closer to that side than the call side, we're more likely to be influenced from that gamma than we are from the call side gamma. But anyway, looking at that right now, it's pretty much calling out for the same thing of this being the chop zone. Technically for Friday, they are dropping this a little bit more to 75. But overall, this is still being called out as of right now in real time. The options market is saying this is the indecisive chop zone. And it's basically saying, okay, cracking 5,700 is a pretty big deal. And it's a super big deal if we crack and stay below 5,575, which from a technical perspective aligns exactly with what we're seeing. Because not only is that the downside gap fill from really the high on Friday to the low on Monday, well, really the low today, but it's also perfectly this trend line. So we're seeing the options market as of right now tell us the same thing as the technicals of just the candles. So we're seeing a clear alignment between what the options world is telling us and what the technical world is telling us, as in if we crack and go below this, we're getting another leg down. Obviously, if we hold above it, well, that's a different story. We could actually keep going. But as of right now, there was a clear sentiment shift throughout the day. The market is, for whatever reason, maybe right, wrong, or indifferent, I have no idea. But throughout the day today, the actual structure of options had a clear shift. It clearly went from being it was always kind of bearish dominated, put dominated, but it was getting really close to 50-50. It was getting really close to parity over the past week and a half. Every single day, some puts were being removed from the system, some calls were being added to the system, and today is the day that trend bucked, that the puts were in control to start off the day, but they actually, for the first day in about a week and a half, actually gained control. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, especially because clearly the market is making bets, but they're making bets on a binary event. We're literally just, I want to see, he is still at this event. They're literally just betting on what these tariffs are going to be or not going to be. For those of you joining right now, I appreciate you joining in on a specialty show. It was a wild day for me. I hope it was a wild day for you. And more importantly, I hope it was a wildly profitable day for you. But I decided to, I guess, risk it for the biscuit, hold these puts going into close. They're still trading up 50%, 37, 22, and 12, net up around, I don't know, 25K, which means I'm just cooking it over the past week. Year to date, dude, I'm up almost 200K on this account. I'm up 200K with Apex. I'm up somewhere just north of 400,000. I'm not up 500,000 yet this year, which, if I do end up going up 500,000 at some point within the next month, this would be my best start to a trading year ever. So that's a nice goal for sure. And I hope I can hit it, but more importantly, I hope I could keep like the train on the tracks because, like I said, between Apex, which I had a good day on Apex, I tweeted it out. I'm more than happy to log into my accounts if you guys want me to prove it to you. But you could see today I got this morning right here, made about 28K on this, like just the morning puke somewhere in here. Basically went short 2 contracts, locked in one really early, let the other one run. I let it run to the point of being up 2.2K. It started to bounce back right before, like, I don't know, 10:30, 10:45. And I thought, you know what? That looks pretty good. I got my money and I moved on with my life. So I'm slowly but surely growing out the buffer in the exact same plan that I've been pitching to all of you guys. Of course, the hardest buffer is to get to that 2.5-year drawdown because you're then worried about the difference between your realized and your unrealized high. For any of you who are sim-to-funded traders, you know it's a pain in the ass. And then, so I'm over the first hurdle. The second hurdle is getting to 5K because then that changes how much you're allowed to risk per trade. Instead of 30%, it goes to 50%. That's hurdle number 2. And then hurdle number 3 is going from 2.5 to 5 and then 5 all the way up to 10 because at 10, that's now 20% of your initial count. $10,000 divided by 50,000, which is where you start with. That's the 20% mark. And at that point, 20% buffer is more of a realistic drawdown to be dealing with when you're actively trading. So like I said, I'm sticking to my plan here. I'm trying to aggressively trade at the start to see if I could catch one lucky streak to as quickly as reasonably possible get my buffer up to that level that I need it at. So that's where I'm at. I'm still battling it out. Even though this is up, I can't touch any of this money yet. Because you need to trade X amount of days, do this, that, the other thing. So literally, it's just the buffer build out stage. Even though this number seems impressive, it's not like I can somehow offload that into my personal bank account, at least not yet. So I'm hoping as I build it out, I can transition this from being like unreachable money to reachable money. But anyway, these are my future accounts. And then obviously this is my main options account, and that's just crushing it year to date. And we're here to find out if I'm going to keep crushing it because we're waiting for Trump to get ripping, but he's still at this Women's History Month event.
I would believe in this, just saying, where do I sign? Where do I sign? Nobody can believe it, and there's more coming. But we really are in the golden age of America, and I think you're going to see it more and more as we go along. Together, we're beginning our country's greatest
What's he even
era,
chit-chatting about right now?
and we're building a future that will be stronger, safer, healthier, and happier than ever before. And you're really going to be the leaders. I think you're going to be the dominant leaders, and you have a lot of them in this room politically, but just the fact that you're here and the fact that you're with us is so important. There's nothing like strong, beautiful, wonderful women. You have the heart, you have the whole spirit. You're amazing people, and it's an honor to be with you, and we're going to work together, and we're going to make this the greatest age in the history of our country. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right. Where are we at? It sounds like this event is kind of wrapping up here. President Trump participates in a Women's History Month event. Post-market trading is slightly green. Right here, we're up by about 4 cents. All right, if the Marine has the door for him, he's ready to rip it. And maybe right from here, he'll be going to the Oval Office. Maybe. Okay. And now we're waiting for the tariff talk. It was supposed to be at 4. We're running a little bit behind schedule. We're waiting on this getting going. So AP called at 5 p.m. What are these people? Oh, wait, hang on. Bloomberg's talking about it.
Tax rate. So once they've been able to demonstrate that there might be tariff revenue or other income streams, then I think that we'll still see some pivots, but they might not be as frequent.
Do you think the tax cuts are priced in fully right now? Like, is that the expectation the market has?
I think an extension of the 2017 tax cuts are priced in. However, I don't know that we fully priced in a corporate tax rate that would be lower than what it is today. And as we know, that would be pretty accretive to earnings. So I think that there is some upside if we actually see tax cuts, a corporate tax rate cut.
If we actually see a corporate tax rate cut. Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? Where do you fall on this?
Where do you fall?
There's not a huge majority when it comes to Republicans in Congress.
Yeah. I think that it's pretty imminent that the 2017 tax cut extension will go through. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult to push through a corporate tax cut. I think that they're going to have to demonstrate that we're going to have tariff revenue or other cutbacks to actually be able to push it through.
Is all of this going to create, bottom line, an economy in the United States that continues to grow and that maybe outperforms other developed markets?
A corporate tax rate could. The other initiatives, if we possibly see less regulation, that could be a tailwind for some companies. But reality is, U.S. businesses figure out how to make money in all types of environments.
He must not be in the
If we've got a strong labor market, people are going to spend, and ultimately the economy is going to stay afloat.
Do companies have figured out ways to pay a lower effective tax rate? So is it really that big of a deal if the corporate tax rate is lowered because companies have done such a good job of figuring out how to pay less in taxes?
Some have, and some don't. Some haven't been as effective.
Bitcoin had
so
a
there
nice
are companies
pop
that would
the final
benefit.
45 minutes.
I know that a lot of the
about
big tech companies
$1,000.
have been in the headlines for the low amount of tax they pay.
All right.
But that's not true across the board. So there would be some companies that benefit and
tax
therefore
talk.
make it accretive
Dow
to
closes
earnings.
more than 100 points lower. S&P 500 drops 1% as traders brace for new auto tariffs.
And rightfully so. In
Live
our
updates.
simulcast chat on the close, the S&P 500 equal weighted index was just down about 0.2% today, compared with about 1.1% drop in the S&P 500. So it was a lot of those big cap tech names
now
that
we're
really
back to
dragged
slightly
down
in
the
the red.
S&P 500.
We're just pinned to the closing
equal
value.
weight, just a little bit lower, says what? That difference says what to you?
It's exciting to see broadening in the market. The last 2 years, big tech, specifically, the Mag 7 has really been where the performance has come from. We saw somewhat of a shift from 2023 to 2024, and now we're seeing even a greater broadening today. And that's what we want. That said, we think that there's some opportunity right now in big tech, but not all Mag 7 companies are created equally. Today, we had some negative news out of NVIDIA, but systemically, the company, not much has changed. They're trading at 26 times forward earnings. And when you look at their growth rate, it's actually less than their PE, or it's higher than their PE ratio, which is the type of company you want to be invested in. However, you look at Tesla, and it's trading at 100 times forward earnings, and the growth rate is really paltry relative to the PE. We're seeing slowing sales in China and Europe, and probably some slowing sales here in the U.S. So I don't think you can go in and just buy big tech.
Folks.
In this environment, you have to be selective, but there are some opportunities out there in addition to looking at the broad market or equal weighted.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, but we appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. Brooke May, managing partner at Evans May Wealth, joining us from Indiana, $1.3 billion in assets under management. Carol, I found the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy,
million or
nonpartisan institute. They found that America's largest consistently profitable corporations saw their effective tax rates fall from an average of 22% to an average of 12.8% after that Trump tax law went into effect in
I'd like
2018.
a 12% tax rate.
So how much lower can it go?
For me or for them?
For them.
This is Bloomberg.
This is Bloomberg. This is Bippity Boppity Boo. All right, so I guess as of right now, we're all just awkwardly waiting. We're all just awkwardly waiting. I'm checking all the major. This video is private. CNBC even took theirs down. They privated their video, CNBC. We caught you. We caught you, CNBC. Trump auto tariffs. Tariffs. Live. We caught them. Private in their videos. President Trump's remarks on tariffs in White House. Live now. That's live now from Fox. This is 2 hours ago. What's this one all about? Women's History Month. All right, what is this one about?
Details, Eamon, what can you tell us?
Kelly, there's a White House briefing going on right now, and Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, just said that President Trump at 4 p.m. today will be signing new auto tariffs. That'll be in the Oval Office, and we may be able to see that live, or see tape playback of that, I should say. We'll get new details on exactly who's being tariffed and what the rates are and all of that later this afternoon. But this is something that the president telegraphed earlier in the week, suggesting that he would do auto tariffs, those so-called sectoral tariffs, before April 2nd, when he does the so-called reciprocal tariffs worldwide on countries that have tariffs on the United States. So you remember back over the weekend, Kelly, there was some question about whether or not the White House was backing off the idea of sectoral tariffs, even while keeping the reciprocal tariffs in place. Now the president signaling that no, he's very much going ahead, at least with the auto tariff piece of that. We'll get more detail on exactly where this is going to land, but we do expect now to see the president at 4 p.m., Kelly.
Eamon, curiously enough, or perhaps not, depending on your point of view, the U.S. major automakers, Stellantis included, are selling off on this.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting, I wouldn't be able to tell you why the market's reacting that way. Clearly, you've got both auto tariffs, but then you've also got, steel, other inputs into the auto industry, which are being tariffed, and then the complexity of how often vehicles go back and forth across that border as they're being manufactured, parts going back and forth, incomplete vehicles going back and forth, how many times they have to pay the tariff, all of that still a little bit TBD. And I think for markets, it's a head scratcher to figure out exactly who's going to be paying what.
Yeah, Eamon, I was talking to an official at a car company not too long ago. They were wondering about the extent to which the tariffs are stacked. That's the term that they use. Are you paying tariffs on tariffs if something goes across the border? And I assume, Eamon, we're talking about autos and auto parts, not just completed autos. So we're back to where we were about a month ago with the reprieve that was given. They said for a month or so, and now we're going to put them back on.
Yeah, I think that's right, Steve.
This is going to get
the history
saucy
here of this second Trump term is that the tariffs have been stacked. One of the big questions when the president talked about tariffs on trading partners of Venezuela earlier this week, he talked about a 25% tariff that would go on anybody who was buying Venezuelan oil, for example. I asked the president on Monday, would that be on top of additional tariffs on those countries? He said yes. So in the case of China, that implies that next week we'll be looking at 45% tariffs on Chinese imports, because China does business with Venezuelan oil. Unless that situation somehow changes between now and next week, they're talking about, yes, stacking those tariffs one on top of the other. That's been their approach this entire time. We don't know if they're going to change that approach here, but clearly more detail to come.
Eamon, for now, thanks. We'll bring you back shortly. Eamon Javers.
Eamon Javers. All right, we have that. What else is currently live? They haven't started this stream. This is still running. All right, what's this guy talking about?
We are 36.4. The fact that President Trump and Republican majorities in both houses were elected on November the 5th. Hopefully that won't continue indefinitely. But what I mention is some
Post market,
of the
no real
violence
movement, down by 15
the,
cents. That's nothing.
The acts of vandalism that have occurred around the country that have been focused primarily on Tesla owners. Now, by the way, most of these they've been sold to private citizens, and yet they have been the target of a lot of the vandalism and violence that we've seen around the country. Just 2 days ago, police officers found what they called multiple incendiary devices at a local Tesla dealership in North Austin, where I live. Now, this prompted a full bomb squad to respond, and an investigation is still underway.
That whole Tesla
Thankfully,
stuff is crazy.
There were no injuries, but it is ridiculous that the state of
Like,
our public
actually
discourse
fucking nuts.
has reached this point. The North Austin Tesla dealership bomb threat, unfortunately, is not
We're
the
just
first
waiting,
of
folks.
its kind.
Patient. We're
It
waiting for
comes on
Trump
the
to
heels
talk.
of another attack in Las Vegas, where several Teslas were set on fire
Old Tesla.
outside of a service center. I have no
Bitcoin's
idea
going
what
up.
that was supposed to accomplish. The protesters
Up about
vandalized the building by
1,200.
spray painting the words, quote, resist on the front doors.
Tesla down
While
a little
at
bit
least
in
one
post market.
protester reportedly threw a Molotov cocktail. Over on the West Coast in Seattle, 4 cyber trucks were set on fire earlier this month.
That's crazy, dude.
The Associated Press has reported that there have been at least 50 demonstrations around the country focused on Tesla.
Oh, GameStop's
while
getting
more are planned,
goosed.
not just here in the United States, but around the world in countries like England, Spain, and Portugal. Some Tesla owners have reported incidents of vandalism on their personal vehicles. Some have been even spray painted with swastikas. Now, why
Swastikas.
anyone would think that would
What
be a good
an
idea
interesting way to enunciate
is
that
beyond
word.
me. It should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway, that kind of violence and vandalism of private property is unacceptable.
GameStop to raise
But I know
1.3
not
billion to
everybody
purchase
is
Bitcoin.
speaking
Dude,
up
they're
to
doing
condemn
another
these
at the market
attacks.
offering.
Now, I support the First Amendment. Obviously, I take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, convertible
All of
CD
us
note.
do here in the Congress. And I will defend the right of all
Yeah,
Americans
doing another
to
offering.
express their views about government, even when they and I may disagree. But the First Amendment, we know, does not protect activities like placing explosive devices or damaging private property. Those are simply crimes. And I would hope that much is obvious.
This guy's putting me to sleep.
It's certainly
Well, come on, Trump. Let's get rocking. I want to know if I'm right or if I'm wrong on this play. Combating financial imposter syndrome? Dude, I already know I'm an imposter. That's already... Ooh, we're dropping a little bit. Are they talking about it on CNBC? Why is my hair so messed up? I have some plain hair. You guys can't see that. Invitation Home CEO on housing. Okay, so they're talking about housing. I have all the alerts on for anything Trump does. We're slightly down right now, but obviously the final power hour we pumped anyway. Jesus. We're just waiting. Supposed to be at 4 p.m. here. I'm not a crazy person. I promise you, I'm not attempting to waste your time. 4 p.m. The president delivers remarks on auto tariffs. Oh, he's getting lunch tomorrow. A lunch lid. What is a lunch lid? What in the world is a lunch lid? All right, they're not talking about it. That's not talking about it. This guy is still droning on about something that I don't even know, dude. I don't even know. Am I in the Signal chat? Dude, I feel like that piece of news is something I really, really missed. Because just like my life over the past 2 days has been nuts with all the travel and whatnot. So I feel like I'm kind of out of the loop. So do you guys want to give me the TLDR on this whole Signal thing and what's happening? I saw that there was what happened? Like there was a journalist that somehow got into a government Signal group chat and then he just leaked what was being talked about. Like What happened, dude? I feel like I'm so far out of the mix on it. Didn't Portnoy said something about it.
All right, incoming political rant. If you don't like political rants, keep it moving. I don't blame you. This Houthis signal group chat, the Atlantic controversy. I'll try to catch you up real quick. So
I need
basically, the U.S. launched an attack on the Houthis a couple days ago. Terrorist group, successful attack, killed a bunch of them. Very successful by all nature. Opened up like the passageway for ships and cargo ships that were being terrorized. So successful attack. Well, comes out after the fact that Jeffrey Goldberg, who's the editor of The Atlantic. The Atlantic is a magazine that basically hates Trump, hates the left, hates people like me. Think Business Insider, think New York Times, think New York Magazine, all the heavy left-leaning media organizations. The Atlantic is one of them. Like, I hate them. Trump hates them. They hate Trump. They probably hate me. So the editor, Jeffrey Goldberg, comes out after. He's like, hey, morons, you guys included me on a signal group chat with sensitive classified information discussing the Houthis attack before it happened. Pete Hegseth's immediate reaction is like, no, that never happened. We didn't leak any classified information. No classified information in there. And Jeffrey Goldberg released all the text in the signal group chat. And guess what? It's super sensitive. It's super classified. It's surreal that these guys added Jeffrey Goldberg to this group chat. I mean, they were talking about the attack, leading up to the attack, all the way to a couple hours, when they're going to do it, the time, the weather, you name it. And if this information somehow got out to the Houthis, and I assume in situations like this, things move at the speed of light, lots of American soldiers could have died, lives in jeopardy. So to me...
Time out. How did they add him? How did a government official add a journalist to the chat? How? Like, why? Am I crazy that everyone's glossing over this fact? How the fuck did he get into the group chat? Who added him? How did he get in there? Like, why is no one answering that? Do you guys know the chat isn't even a clearance approved? 13 bytes, everybody knows the rules. He hacked his way. What? You can add anyone. Yes, who the fuck added him? He took responsibility. Who is he? Peter was drunk, seems fake. Fat finger, incompetence. Mike set up, fat fingered. That's the official story, is that was a fat finger mistake?
A major glitch in intelligence and just a huge mistake. It looked like Michael Waltz, the national security advisor to the president, added Jeffrey Goldberg to the group chat by accident, and J.D. Vance is in it. It looks like he added him by accident. And listen, we've all texted the wrong person. We've all emailed the wrong person. We've all had somebody who shouldn't be in a group chat in our lives. We are not the Secretary of Defense. We're not the National Security Advisor. We're not the Vice President of the United States. So, yeah, mistakes happen. This one can't. Here's my biggest issue with this. And this is in politics in general. The reaction of like Pete Hegseth and President Trump has been to kind of poo-poo it. Be like, there was no classified information in there. Trump's like, how did Jeffrey Goldberg get in there? Like, did he hack it? Did he get in there? He didn't stay very long. The Atlantic is a horrible organization and a terrible magazine, which they are, and I hate them. And by the way...
Oh, wait, hang on. A little piece of breaking news here. Where is it? I'm missing it. It's something with the tariffs while we're really here. Hang on. News feed. All right. Watch live. Is it? Oh, it's not live. Never mind. Back to this.
Wait, if Jeffrey Goldberg, he didn't hack it. He got added. But if he did hack it, that's almost more dangerous that somebody like Jeffrey Goldberg, if he can hack the most sensitive group chats, what are our enemies doing? Trump, I get being loyal to your people. I don't like firing people on innocent mistakes that they make. But this And I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, you're mad about this, but we had a president like Biden with dementia who had the nuclear codes. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That wasn't right then, and this isn't right now. In this new administration, you want to take accountability. Trump, you may love Michael Waltz. You love Pete Hegseth. You may love these guys. Somebody has to go down. To me, it's Michael Waltz. He's the one who added him to this conversation.
It does seem evident that the person who added him
the top of
is
the
fall guy.
top security people in the United States with the most sensitive information in the world adding random editors of a magazine that hates Trump's guts to a group chat talking about an attack before it happens on a terrorist group. You can't poo-poo it. You can't downplay it.
This is crazy.
You have to sit up there and be like, holy shit, this is a fuck up of epic proportions. There will be accountability. I will get to the bottom of this. And frankly, I think I don't like calling for people's heads. Michael Waltz, it seems like you're the guy who added him to the group chat. You have to lose your job. You should step down. You cannot be adding random people to a group chat with this sensitive, classified information. Just be like, oh, no, poo-poo. It's on him. He should have left the group chat instantly. This guy shouldn't have stayed in. It's on Jeffrey Goldberg for not immediately being like, hey, I should be here. No. It's on you for adding them.
If you're
and
in
this
that,
has to be something
you're
that,
going to take
and
advantage
this is why
of
I hate
it.
Politics. You have to stand up here and be like, what a fuck up. I will demand answers, accountability in the heads. I don't care if you're right, left. There's nothing being made up here. Jeffrey Goldberg is telling the truth. It's obvious these texts are real. It's obvious they're classified. It's obvious we gave away the strike information 2 hours before it happened. We're lucky it didn't cause the death of American military members.
Whoa.
Somebody has to go down for this. This is a mistake. This isn't a Barstool mistake where you let an idiot hang around like Mitzi. This is a mistake that can't happen twice. It cannot happen once. So you have to make a change and show it'll never happen. And these are the top intel guys that we have in the country. Adding a rando, the editor of The Atlantic, to the most sensitive group chat in the world, somebody's got to go down. That's just the facts. You can't poo-poo this.
So I think there is a logical way you could decide. I guess I should ask you guys first. This Michael Walls guy, whatever his name is, the guy who added the journalist, do you guys think he should be fired or not? Or do you think he should step down? Like, regardless, do you think in one way or another he should lose his job? I guess I'm going to start there and, I don't know, see the temperature here of, do you guys think he should somehow just not have a job, whether intentionally stepping down, getting fired, whatever, like it doesn't matter. But the end result, do you guys think he should lose his job? Someone said nope. Someone said yes, no, duh, yup, he should. Okay, so I think he should too. And my reasoning is this, like, think about this logically, is he added this guy to the group chat, and fortunately, the strike or whatever went well. But imagine if the information got out there and it actually cost an American soldier, even one American soldier, their life because this information got out. Would that change your opinion? If for some reason this information got out and it caused an American to lose their life, would that then change your opinion? Because if it would change your opinion, you're not being logically consistent, because he did the exact same action and he either had a lucky break or he didn't have a lucky break. You shouldn't be, if you were to have actual critical thought about this, the punishment should be the same regardless of the outcome, because the punishment is based on his action, not on either being fortunate or not fortunate. And obviously, thank God that no one lost their life. But for all the people saying, no, he should not be losing his job, if you're exclusively basing that off of because nothing bad happened, that doesn't matter. That's all after the fact, where legitimately he just got lucky. And obviously I'm happy he got lucky. I'm not here campaigning that I want any American soldier to lose their life or anything like that. Obviously that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying in terms of like literally just like base critical thought, if all of a sudden you're changing your opinion on something that happened after the fact, that's not good critical thought. So he might be a nice guy. He might be an awesome. I don't know. I don't know the guy from Adam, but I'm just saying in terms of a critical thought experiment, if you are changing your opinion, we don't have enough details. No way. You don't need more details. He did something that could have endangered the life of an American soldier. It is on. What more detail do you need beyond that? Not enough real details. Folks, what details do you need beyond that? An action of someone in the administration could have theoretically cost the lives of U.S. personnel. Like, what do you mean there's not more info? What other fucking info could you possibly need in that situation? That, like, it truly makes no sense that you're like, well, hang on. What other info could come out that you'd be like, no, that's exactly how he got in? The dude fat fingered it. Doesn't matter. I guess, okay, if you're saying he got in and he like hacked his way in, okay, well, that's on him. But if he was accidentally added, then obviously this Mike Waltz guy's like, that's it. But like, are you saying like, did he steal his phone and add himself into it when he was at like the bar or something? I mean, obviously that would change it. But as of now, the story is, and the administration is not denying this, that it was an accident. Exactly, we don't know. Well, we're going off just like what the stated story is. And if the administration itself is saying that they accidentally did it, that looks really bad for them. You follow that, right? It'd be one thing if they were going the other way, but when even the administration is saying that it was an accident, that you don't really cut the other way. That doesn't make sense. I honestly don't see what else you could possibly do here. Like, truly, this just seems like the guy, he fucked up, and that's, I don't know, it's sad. He seems like a cool dude, and like, I don't know, it seems like people like him. I've never heard of him before this, but he was to mess up a security thing like that when you're the head of the Security Council. That is not a good look. I mean, I'm telling you, folks, people have gotten fired for far, far less in this world, for far, far less than. And it is also weird that the administration is trying to say there was no classified information. That's just not accurate. Not accurate whatsoever. Obviously, there was a lot of classified information. Like, according to Dave Portnoy, the time, the weather, the success of it, like, there was clearly, this is not just information that you would want out there. So to say that it was not classified information, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. The journalist could have also waited to release the info. Well, good thing that they waited till at least after the attack. That would have been really, really scummy on the journalist's part to release it before and then use the information to, like, once again, then like maybe increase the odds of, once again, our own service people potentially being in harm's way. So I honestly don't know this guy from like Adam. I don't know who the hell this guy is. I don't know who he is. And I don't know anything about this journalist. It sounds like he's from the Atlantic, which we know that the Atlantic does not get along the best with the administration. Dare I say it? They probably hate each other. But still, like, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it sounds at minimum that it was released after the attack was completed, right? Yeah, the attack was 2 weeks ago. Okay, it would very much change my opinion on this journalist if they released it before. Like, that's just straight up fucked up. Don't take Portnoy's word as gospel. I'm not. I'm going through a critical thinking exercise with all of you because it seems to be generically missing in the world right now. You're acting like an expert. You don't know what the hell you are talking about either. You are wrong. That's the beauty of critical thought, is you could come to reasonable assumptions on things without being an expert. I never said I'm an expert. I'm not a political expert. I am not an expert at all. But I'm just saying, if you would fire him, if a service person lost their life and you're changing your opinion on that outcome, you're not being logically consistent. So as much as you are screaming with caps like a stunted psychosocial development of a toddler, you're simply not being consistent, and that's on you. No, he said it was classified. No, they're saying it's not classified, but it was evidently classified. I mean, clearly that information is not for public consumption. And there was a dude that had no security clearance. They're literally talking about a strike. And if you're trying to say like, well, hang on, is that classified? Yeah, of course that's classified, dude. What kind of fucking mental gymnastics are you doing? There's nothing reasonable about classification. Are you fucking high? Are you high? Literally the details of a strike, and you're trying to say, I don't know if that should be classified. That's just something that we should put out there on MySpace. Like, just throw it up on my MySpace wall and we're going to talk about it. Jesus. Like, oh my God. That's the line that you're like, nah, I don't know if that's actually classified. Like, dude, what? Yeah, it does seem like it's special gymnastics, that's for sure. What a mental leap people are making. That's fascinating. That's wild. There wasn't specific details. Yes, there was. Now you're playing just like a word game of what are you classifying as a specific detail. That's absolutely wild. Was it a false flag? Not to my understanding, according to people in chat. Tom from MySpace, that's hilarious. We're just waiting for Trump to get talking. He was supposed to start 45 minutes ago. Who knows? Maybe the AP was onto something by scheduling it at 5. I mean, even PBS has theirs at 4 because that's what it called for 4 p.m. right here. President delivers remarks on auto tariffs. So before, when someone was joking about 6 p.m., I hope that joke doesn't become accurate. I hope that joke does not become accurate at all. I don't want to be waiting around. As much as it is fun to wait, I just don't know how much hot air I have in me. Zelensky meets with France's Macron. Didn't Candace Owens like end this guy's career? What's the story that is like? What is the story about Macron's wife that Candace Owens? Like, I don't even know the details of it. I just saw it was something real weird. That they really didn't deny. They just offered her money to stop talking about it, which is kind of admission. What is the story here? That his wife is actually who? Dude learned about it, became an expert in a matter of 2 minutes. Once again, I'm not an expert on it. I'm literally just talking about base logic of if you're switching your opinion based on if someone does or doesn't lose their life, you're not being logically consistent. It's his dad? What? The fuck? What? His wife is his dad? Yahoo's calling it a conspiracy theory, so it must be. 2 women on trial for claiming French First Lady is transgender. French president wife Brigitte Macron attends an event on the day Macron is represented at the International Award of Peace in West Philadelphia, born and raised. Well, that's a crazy conspiracy. I don't know if it's real or not. Once again, another story that I am by no means an expert on because that being true or not, there's no event contracts I can bet on, so I just don't really care. So if I can't bet on it, if I can't make money off of it, really is not going to have any unique impact on my life. But if Kohrs spins that up, then I'd be interested. I would become an expert on the story if Kohrs put that as an event-based contract where I could bet. Then I would look into it. Where was I? I was in DC, as already fully explained. It wasn't like I was hiding what I was doing. I like announced it multiple times on stream what was happening and what wasn't happening. He was a young teen and his teacher. That's the real scandal. It's a man. So some people are just saying it was an inappropriate age thing, and other people are saying it's a dude. What? How did Candace Owens find out about this? Does she have some like special tie to France in any way? Are you in calls or puts? I'm in puts. I was in calls this morning, got out, locked in a shitload of money, and then switched over to puts and rode this entire thing down. And now I'm waiting to see if I'm going to wake up at break even because of the gap up, or am I going to wake up with even more money on a gap down? And it's all based on this Trump announcement that was supposed to be at 4 p.m. And it is. I just keep reloading to see if he's taking the stage. I'm waiting. I'm attempting to patiently wait on this one. We're just waiting for Trump assessing the state of private aviation. Why don't... And now even this is unlisted. Even PBS is now hiding it. Everyone is... Is it not happening? What is happening here, dude? CNBC. All right. OpenAI expects revenue will triple to 12.7 billion this year. Holy shit. Tesla shares drop on plunging European sales, concerns about Trump's tariffs. Oh, here we go. You guys are going to get all spun up. The Atlantic publishes full signal thread with Hegseth Waltz after Trump says texts are not classified. So wait, do we just have... the first fucking thing, the literal first, how fucking dumb are some of you people? Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM, we are go for a mission launch. You fucking dimwits are trying to say it's not classified information, that the mission is the launch. I had to read the first fucking thing, and you guys are like, nah, that's not classified. I wouldn't necessarily say it's classified that a fucking strike mission is a go for launch. How fucking dense are you? Did your mom just rip through a case of Kohrs every single day that she was pregnant with you? What the fuck? No, that's not classified. No, that's not classified. Like, what the fuck, dude? Just confirmed. It took one thing. It took one, the first one, and you guys are like, yeah, whatever. Something more to follow per timeline. We're currently clean on something. Godspeed to our warriors. VP building collapse, had multiple positive ID. All right. Excellent. Dude, American flag. Imagine popping off with an American flag after you attack another country. That's actually kind of fucking, that's 1 point on his side. A fist, an American flag, and a fire emoji. Hell yeah, dude. I want to see more of the emoji usage. Mark Kelly. The signal incident is what happens when you have the most unqualified Secretary of Defense we've ever seen. Wait, but he didn't add him. Why are they trying to blame the Secretary of Defense? We're lucky it didn't cost any service members their lives, but for the safety of our military, Secretary Hegseth needs to resign. What does this have to do with Hegseth? What? The fuck? All right. Obviously, as we've all agreed upon, I am no expert on this, but what is the logical leap here that they're trying to get rid of a dude who had nothing to do with the other guy being in here? What the fuck am I? Hegseth didn't add him, did he? If there were to be a debate, it would be about walls. But I'm lost now. Dude, if it was Biden or Harris that did this, it would be a prison time. Prison time? You realize that Biden's son was like caught with like sex trafficking with drugs and everything, and he got a pardon. You might be an expert, but you were in DC, yeah. Hegseth set up the group chat on Signal. So they're saying because he set it up on Signal that he should Doesn't everyone in DC use Signal? What's the main app and whatnot that everyone in DC uses? I'm. What else would they be using? I truly thought everyone in DC was just always on the Signal. Like, what other Skype? Just they should be using like RuneScape chat or something. WhatsApp, Signal. I mean, they both have end-to-end encryption. Signal is not secure. Are you? I thought Signal was very secure. There are secure systems for it. Yeah, named what though? Grinder chat. Well, they could talk in a skiff. A skiff isn't like an app though. That's just a place where you would go over this type of classified information. That'd be funny, dude. Imagine if Pete Hegseth set up a group chat on Grinder to talk about this. That'd be one of the most wild stories ever to break. Like, ever to break. Dude, what is this one? Fertilization. All right, Trump, can we start ripping it? Dude, I need to know if my positions are going to be green or red. Don't forget that there's a GDP report an hour before the market opens tomorrow and also initial jobless claims. But folks, we're waiting. My apologies. I know I thought it was going to be at 4 as well. How are futures? Slightly red right here. You can see we are slightly down since market close. We are down by about 0.08%. Slightly red. Slightly red. Tesla slightly down. Actually, everything's slightly red right now. Vietnam to cut tariffs on U.S. products, including cars and gas, to avoid President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. Vietnam making some moves. Oh, we haven't heard from Marjorie Taylor Greene in a minute.
Yep. Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary?
What country are you? Wait, what country are you from?
The UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay,
and you no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care
no,
about
no,
American
no.
lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
My God, dude.
No, by migrant. No, do you care? Okay, you're done.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
You know what? I don't care. I don't.
Members fighting for your country.
I don't care about
and
your fake news. Do you have a relevant question? Yeah, this is an American journalist. Thank you.
Where are you from? The UK. She's really like, what third world country is that? It would have been funny if she said, I've never heard of the UK. Just like gaslight her and it'd be like, the UK? Is that like a small country, big country? Where is that? Asia? Just be like, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of that one. Just 3 people bullshitting. Come on. They actually did still make it unlisted, so now people can't even see it. What's going on with CNBC? Dude, is this guy talking or not? Is this guy why is it on the schedule? What's CNBC going on about? Just reported. We have some earnings coming in. Yeah, slightly red over here. What is this one? Immigrant workforce?
Moving these workers would worsen the shortage, intensify the housing crisis, and make it even harder for affordable housing in America. That's why, as part of my personal passion here, we're calling on Congress for common sense solutions to provide work permits and green cards to law-abiding immigrants. These are the workers who show up to do the hard work, build homes, and help lower housing costs for Americans. It's now my opportunity an honor to introduce someone who has been leading the charge on common sense immigration solutions in Congress. He's a dedicated fighter for American farmers and consumers, an apple farmer from the great state of Washington, and I think it's kind of funny.
Dude, they just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. All right. While they're talking, we might as well do something useful with our time. So let's look at the next. All right. We're going to do a quick little options breakdown. We're doing a little options breakdown of the remainder of the week going into this situation. Let me just update it so I can get to the right stuff. This is usually stuff that we do more of an intensive breakdown on a daily basis in the Discord. But we might as well just do it now. All right. So I changed the expiration date. So up here, this top one, this is tomorrow's expiration for the S&P 500. This bottom one is the one for Friday. So as you could just see from the dates, the 27th and the 28th, we're looking at two different expiration dates, once again, for the overall market. And what I find interesting is for tomorrow, there's a spike of open interest at 5,600. And then also for Friday, there's a spike at 5,675, 5,650, 5,625, and 5,600. You could also see that for Friday, there's 124,000 puts and only 77,000 calls. So it's actually about 40% more puts in play than calls. So Friday is, as of right now, and obviously this can change on a moment's notice, as of right now, Friday is being put dominated. It is being dominated by the bears. So just want to put that out. That's the open interest. But then from market close yesterday to market close today, we can see the change in open interest. So this is the sentiment of what played out today. So one, you have the open interest of just like, where are the numbers at in any given time? And then you can see the change based on session. And this is the most damning thing, is there was a spike in puts at 5,700. And then for Friday, there's a spike in puts at 5,640. Not really too many spikes in calls. So interesting. Looking at the volume traded today, this is the trades executed today, but for tomorrow's expiration date, big call surge at 5,800, big put surge at 5,650, and then for Friday, 5,800 once again, and 5,600 down here on the puts. And then this is where it tells you, are they net buyers or net sellers? And ooh, enchanté, I didn't notice this. Okay. So for tomorrow, the net position is selling calls and selling puts. We are on the left side of the zero line. So basically right here, this negative number, the net impact for tomorrow's expiration in volume trading was selling 22,000 calls and selling 24,000 puts. So that has like positive gamma implications, basically setting up ceilings and setting up floors. Once again, that's for tomorrow. Friday has a net buying of puts. A net aggressive buying of, well, I'm saying it's aggressive because the net situation is not putting in ceilings or floors. They're saying we're going to drop. So the only positive number I'm seeing here is actually going to be adding to some negative gamma of they are now even more net long than they initially were. That's interesting. Net 2,000, positive 2,000 on puts, well as net selling of 2,000 on calls. And they're basically interesting. 5,675 and 5,650 just keeps coming up again and again and again. So I guess I wanted to call that out to all of you. Also, tomorrow they're looking at a 0.8% move, 45 points on SPX, about $4.50 on SPY. And then between now and market close on Friday, they're looking for a 1.1% move, aka 65 points, aka $6.50 on the SPY if you need like a really rough conversion. But as of now, that is the anticipated move. And this won't update yet, but negative gamma, negative delta for the all expiration, negative gamma, and kind of close to the transition on the delta for the 0DT, but this left one doesn't matter because it's currently the 0DT. The most popular contracts to trade today were SPX, TSLA, SPY, NVIDIA, and QQQ. So in Tesla and Nvidia were the two major equity plays of the day, which I don't mind that at all because that's exactly, well, I have puts on all of these. I have puts on SPX, TSLA, NVDA, and NDX. Honorable mention, MSTR. Honorable mention, META. They were 7 and 8. The next two equities beyond. Got $30, $25 puts for GME expiration for Friday. Someone was saying that it got pretty messed up going into close, GME. How's that doing? I mean, yeah, it's down 6.5%. It's because they're doing an offering of, I believe, convertible senior notes to buy more Bitcoin, quickly dropping from 28.5 down to 26.5. So that one getting a little bit smacked there. A little bit smacked there. Folks, if you're just joining in, I know we're just waiting on Trump. We're just waiting. Is it going to happen? I don't like that PBS unlisted this. This is making me less enthusiastic about the idea of them actually talking. Copper import tariffs may come in weeks. Today's close. Lawmakers hold. Are any of you seeing any news on this Trump thing? Any of you? Any news that you guys could offer me about this? Of what the fuck either is or isn't happening? Someone said Tesla dropping. Oh, it's getting hit. It's not like it's going down. So I can't disagree. Yes, that is dropping, but it's not like a catastrophic thing. It's down 0.8%. It's down $2. Actually, everything is slightly red right now. SPY is slightly red. Qs are slightly red. NVIDIA is slightly red. But it really doesn't matter. It's going to be based on this announcement. It's you said he's always 30-minute plus late. Well, we're beyond 30 minutes. We're now an entire hour late. At this point, I guess. Should we do a icebreaker? Maybe we should meet each other a bit more. Do you guys want to do 2 truths and a lie? Everyone and I could just guess which one is your truth and which one is your lie, just to learn more about you guys. Do you guys want to share your credit card information and social security number? Because that could always be fun if you just want to type that in. I told you it's going to be closer to 6 p.m. Before I was saying, I remember you saying that. I was like, man, I hope that joke doesn't become reality because we're now officially closer to 6 than we are 5. Or excuse me, 4. You were not. ASMR. Matt, 2 truths and a lie. I'm always so bad at my own 2 truths and a lie. I'm gay, I'm a millionaire, and I have 2 kids. That's a good one. Matt, do you have a wife? Yeah, I'm actually fiddling with my wedding ring right now. My wife doesn't want me to tell you guys this, but I like to say that she beats me. And I also like to introduce her as my roommate to new people, which makes her very displeased. And then I say, don't hit me. And then she says, I don't hit you. And I was like, but those were all truths. I didn't really say a lie there. He isn't imaginary girlfriend and a completely real wife. We're just waiting. My patience. This has honestly been an entire day of testing my patience, so we're about to hit max level. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. SPY still slightly red. Lawmakers hold presser on immigration workforce. Fox is just chilling here. What the fuck? When are we rocking with this? Let's get going, people. What's Bloomberg saying?
Its clients earlier this week that they expected the announcement to come into place sometime later this year. You add on top of that the tariffs of steel and aluminum that already exist, the auto tariffs that are about to come, and then, of course, you have reciprocal tariffs. And, of course, on top of that, you have the questions of what's going to happen to Mexico and Canada. All of this is a lot, right? And the worry is, of course, you have to start stacking tariffs. I mean, on the autos alone, if you're talking about parts, right, you're talking about aluminum and you're talking about steel, sometimes these things cross the border multiple times, especially between Canada and Mexico. And the worry is really, how is that going to compound? That's the kind of extreme concern that you have as an investor in these markets when it's impossible really at this moment for you to account for what you're supposed to expect.
All right, Bloomberg's Joe, great reporting. Thank you so much. And for more analysis as we await the remarks from President Trump, we turn now to Mary Lovely, Senior Fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Welcome back to Balance of Power, Mary. As we wait for President Trump to make this announcement on autos specifically, to the point Joe was just making, can we really view these auto tariffs in a vacuum, or is their economic impact not so much about those tariffs alone, but how they work in conjunction with all of the other levies we have seen or expect to see?
Oh, yeah, it's great to be watching, waiting for this announcement with you tonight. Joe's absolutely right. We're waiting to see how these tariffs are going to interact with one another. What we do know already is the tariffs on steel and aluminum, such as they are, will increase the price of steel in the U.S. That will drive up the cost of autos. We've already seen auto prices going up. That's going to continue. These tariffs, if they go ahead tonight, will further increase the price of autos. And of course, it will reduce domestic sales because people are getting to the point where they need to drive their vehicles longer, postpone buying that car because the price will be increasing significantly depending on the rate that's announced tonight.
Mm-hmm. But wait, Mary, this is Donald Trump. Aren't we going to have a 30-day review period and everybody comes back in off the ledge after the president makes the first announcement of the first salvo?
Well, we may, and that presumably is to give time for our trading partners to negotiate. It's not clear what will be negotiated in this case. One of the problems with driving up the cost of producing in the United States is that, low tariffs no longer become viable. The U.S. has a 2.5% tariff on vehicles. That has allowed the U.S. to have a vibrant market. It has allowed sort of niche consumers to find vehicles that are made in other countries for sale here. Cars that are sold in large quantities, minivans, SUVs, tend to be, made in North America. So we're going to see reduced choice for Americans. What would come from waiting for another month? It's really not clear. Auto executives, auto companies are not able to, as you know very well, rearrange their supply chains in 1 month. And they're already still reeling from really trying to figure out what is the meaning and how long-lasting will be the tariffs that have already been placed on Canada and Mexico on so-called non-compliant goods, non-compliant with the USMCA, of course. And then we're waiting, of course, for next week when we find out for more tariffs on trading partners and different sectors.
Well, and when you bring up Mexico, obviously that is one of the biggest market from which the U.S. imports autos. Another big one is Europe as well, which hasn't been shy about retaliating against the levies the U.S. has put into place. Mary, how should we be viewing the other side of this, the tariffs on U.S. products that could come as a result?
Well, they're very destructive to our exporters, which are among the most productive, innovative companies in the U.S., including our ag exporters. They're going to feel the pain. The U.S. Farm Bureau is already arguing about the impact of the tariffs on its farmers, on potash, for example, driving up the cost for American farmers. They're going to be locked out of markets. Our autos will be locked out of foreign markets. They'll face similarly high tariffs. So President Trump is, I think, expected to announce that levies are going to be low, relatively low in his view. I'm sure they'll be high from the point of view of our trading partners, but that we may, in fact, go higher if countries want to retaliate. So it's really going to be a double threat that we see, or at least that's what we're expecting. Nevertheless, countries may feel that they're backed into a wall and that the only thing they really can do is to retaliate.
President calls it Liberation Day, right? A week from today, the reciprocal tariffs. Mary, is there some truth to that if, in fact, this leads to zeroing out our trade relationships with partners in Europe, with our partners even here in North America? If that is actually the aim for other countries to take down their tariffs, is that, in fact, the definition of Liberation Day?
Well, I mean, there's lots of misuses of the English language here. First of all, reciprocal suggests that these, in some sense, are fair. We have negotiated in good faith in the past with our trading partners. If there's new issues, we should negotiate them. People will argue with that, but this kind of really threatening tariffs, threatening different actions against foreign partners is unlikely to really get where we want to be, which is low trading partners, level playing field for U.S. producers. The idea of Liberation Day really should be called Steal from Your Wallet Day, because that's what will happen. We're going to see higher prices for many goods that U.S. businesses buy to keep themselves competitive.
No, that's not, once again, that's not a logically consistent
higher
argument.
Prices on all types of goods. Today we're discussing autos. Next week we'll probably be
that
discussing
is not
some
a
other
decent argument.
Mary, just when we consider the wallet impact, how much are you expecting the kind of front running of the tariffs, the pre-purchasing that businesses have engaged with in the expectation that tariffs are coming to build up inventories? For how long can that offset some of the immediate effects of these, what will ultimately, assumably, become price hikes?
Yeah, we have definitely seen front running by U.S. Retailers and even companies stocking up on essential supplies. The ports have been busy. It can't go that far. There's a limit to how much warehouses can hold, how much working capital companies can tie up in inventory. And of course, for retailers, there's changes in preferences and in demand. Right now, retailers are trying to stock up for the back-to-school season. That means that these tariffs will hit before they stock up for the Christmas season. So there's really a limit to how much they're trying to minimize the damage as best they can. But there's no such thing as a free lunch here. It's going to be costly. And of course, that will end up as tariff revenue, which will most likely be used to offset President Trump's extension of the tax cuts. And that is, of course, a big shift in the burden of who pays for government services in this country.
Well, we're about to find out together here at least what the president has planned for autos. Mary Lovely, thank you so much, Mary, Senior Fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics on Balance of Power. Coming up, we'll be tracking what the president has planned. He's going to be speaking from the Oval Office, and we'll update developments in the Signal group chat security breach. Details from Bloomberg's Kate Sullivan.
Dude, everyone loves this Signal group chat story. Everyone's loving it. Dude, even they're going on break. Everyone's going on break. All right, we are literally just waiting on Trump it was supposed to happen at 4 p.m. It is now 5:15. We are just all painfully waiting, which is the perfect time for us to do a little bit of an AMA. What questions do you guys have? Questions about my options positions, questions about futures trading, questions about SIM-to-funded trading, questions about the Discord, questions about owning a cat, questions about getting a degree in computer science, questions about almost getting a degree in master's degree in statistics, questions about having the hottest fucking wife in the world, questions about fishing on RuneScape, questions about where was I this morning? DC. Wood cutting level on RuneScape, 55. 55. Do 420. I used to when I was younger. I don't anymore. It's just when it makes me feel like kind of paranoid and also guilty. Especially if I'm trading. Like I feel like I just need to be on the top of my game to not only simultaneously trade, but to also run the show. So I don't have like moral qualms with it. It's just not where I'm at in my life right now. What's it like being beautiful? That's the fucking nicest thing someone's ever said. What town did I grow up in? Northeast PA, very small rural town. I graduated with about 200 people. Very rural. Instead of getting off like MLK Day, we ended up getting off the first day of deer season. Northeast PA. A PA boy. Someone said he's on, but he's not on. You guys are just... Oh, wait.
This thing of Liberation Day in America, we're going to take back just some of the money that has been taken from us by people sitting behind this desk or another desk that's not quite as nice, but they have their choice of 7, as you know. And we're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking our jobs, taking our wealth, taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe, and frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe. And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at.
25.
We go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been seeing, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election, they're very happy. AI is coming back to levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's a new, sort of a new business, I guess, when you think about it. But it's plants are going up all over the United States, and many of them have already been started. We're getting early electricity.
Slight downtrend.
Taken care of. We're getting permits very quickly for them, and we're going to make their life very happy. They're coming in with tens of billions of dollars.
Tesla getting clocked a little.
10, 15, and $20 billion. We're going to let them build electricity generating plants along with their plant, and they can't even believe it. And we're going to get them very quick permits, as I've done always. I did that in Louisiana with 2 LNG plants. I got them one permit in 1 day after waiting 14 years, and the other one in 1 week after waiting for 12 years. But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country. And Indiana, the great state of Indiana, I love Indiana. Honda is building one of the biggest plants anywhere, and they've just started. They wouldn't have done it without this. In all cases, they wouldn't have done it without what we're doing. So we'll effectively be charging a 25% tariff. But if you build your car in the United States, there is no tariff. And what that means is a lot of foreign car companies, a lot of companies are going to be in great shape because they've already built their plant. But their plants are underutilized, so they'll be able to expand them inexpensively and quickly. But others will come into our country and build, and they're already looking for sites. They're looking for mostly sites. They don't want to take the old buildings that are empty and falling down. They want to build new, and there's tremendous action. There is likewise for other companies and countries like the chip-making process. Your chip bill was a disaster done by Biden. All he does is give tremendous amounts of billions of dollars to chip companies that will do nothing with the money. They're not going to use the money here. They're going to just keep it. They have plenty of money. The one thing they have is they have a lot of money. In our case, all we're doing is saying you can't come in unless you build here. And the largest chip company by far is manufacturer from Taiwan is building here, and it'll give us almost 40% of the chip market just with that. They're spending almost $200 billion in the United States to build a plant, and they've almost started. They'll be doing much of the work in Arizona. So we have a lot of exciting things, but to me, this is one of the most exciting. Now, outside of one specific day, and that's Liberation Day. That's the real Liberation Day of America, and that's going to be in April 2nd, and I look forward to it. We'll have a little news conference. We'll talk about it, but this is very exciting. So we're signing a executive order today that's going to lead to tremendous growth in the automobile industry. As you know, the electric mandate that we did allows you to buy a car now with electric or gasoline-powered or hybrid. You can buy any car you want. We had it so that within a short period of time, you had to buy all electric, and the country could never provide the money necessary to build all of those power plants that you would need all over the country. As you know, in the Middle West, they built 8 power stations. That's like the size of this desk or smaller. And they ended up spending $9 billion on 8. And of the 8, 4 of them didn't work. And we're not doing that. So you can buy electric, or you can buy gasoline, or you can buy hybrid, or you can buy whatever you want to buy. And that's the way it should be. The market's going to determine that. and you're going to see prices going down, but it's going to go down specifically because they're going to buy what we're doing, incentivizing companies to, and even countries, but companies to come into America and build. And we're already setting records for new plants. I think the new plant number, the tally is just within a period of a few weeks. It's very large. I want to be accurate. It's very large. And I'd like to ask Will just to come and give some of the basics, and then I'll sign it. And it's off
he's like legit signing it right now. Like this is going to be in effect within minutes.
Thank you, sir. As you stated, we've prepared for your attention a proclamation imposing a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars and light trucks. This is in addition to tariffs that are already in place on those goods.
In addition
to, as you said, spurring increased domestic manufacture of cars and trucks, we expect that these tariffs will result in over $100 billion of new annual revenue to the United States of America in tariff revenue.
I think ultimately we could probably anywhere from $600 billion to $1 trillion will be taken in over the relatively short-term period, meaning a year from now, but starting right away. I think we'll go from 600 to $1 trillion within 2 years. And I think we'll be right from the beginning, we're going to be at a very high number, right from the beginning. And right from the beginning, you're going to have a lot of construction jobs, but you're also going to have a lot of automobile jobs. So this is very exciting, but it's also exciting because of what's happening with other aspects. We're going to be doing tariffs on pharmaceuticals in order to bring our pharmaceutical industry back. We don't make anything here in terms of drugs, medical drugs, different types of drugs that you need, medicines. It's in other countries, largely made in China, a lot of it made in Ireland. Ireland was very smart. We love Ireland. But we're going to have that. We're going to have lumber. We're going to free up some of our land. And you'll be able to meet a lot of other standards like fire cuts. If Los Angeles had fire cuts, which they didn't have, that's a gap of half a football field between areas. You wouldn't have had the fires. They would have been contained. But you have fire cuts. And by the way, you sell that wood for a lot of money, a lot of profit is made from that. But we're going to be doing lumber. We're freeing up our land so that we don't have to use outside sources of lumber. Energy, we're doing fantastically well at. The energy prices have been coming down rapidly as we increase supply, and we've already done that. Chris and Doug are doing a fantastic job in that. That's Department of Energy and Department of Interior. And they're working together hand in hand because Interior has the land and Energy has the ability to do the drilling and do what they have to do. Our coal areas are going to be opened up for clean, beautiful coal. Germany's opening up many coal plants now. They tried the wind and it didn't work. They almost went out of business. They almost went bankrupt. They tried wind, which is a disaster because it's too expensive and it doesn't look good, kills all the birds, a lot of problems. But Germany is now building a lot of coal plants. China is building one a week. Think of that. And they're using coal, which is very powerful. Coal is a very powerful energy. And we're opening up our coal mines again, and we're going to do, I call it beautiful, clean coal. The technology is so good now.
Opening up coal mines.
That coal can give you tremendous power at the same time. It can be very clean. But we're also obviously doing oil and gas and various other things. You can do pretty much whatever you want. We don't like the wind because we think it ruins the landscapes, the plains, ruins them. And it's got a lot of problems. It's also by far the most expensive energy. It looks horrible in the oceans. It's dangerous in the oceans in terms of navigation. And if you look at what's happening with whales, in one area, they lost 2 whales, like in 20 years, washed ashore. And this year they had 17 wash ashore. So there's something happened out there. There's something driving the whales a little bit loco, but they lost 2 in 20 years. And now they lost 17 in a short period of time. So it's something wrong.
That's
out
pretty
there.
crazy.
So this is very exciting. This is going to lead to the construction of a lot of plants, and in this case, auto plants. And you're going to see numbers like you haven't seen, both in terms of employment. It takes a little while. You're going to have great construction numbers initially, and then ultimately you're going to have a lot of people making a lot of cars. And one other thing, we have the Speaker of the House with us who's doing a fantastic job. And where's Mike? And we're trying to get approved. Mike, thank you very much for being here. We're trying to get approved, if we can. If you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct interest payments for purposes of income tax, but only if the car is made in America. So if the car is made in America, you get a loan, you can deduct the interest. That's a big saving. A lot of people in that part of the world, in terms of buying cars, a lot of them don't think in terms of deductions. People that think in terms of deductions are very wealthy people, but people are going to start understanding what a good deduction is all about. So when you get a loan to buy a car, and I think it's going to pay for itself. I don't think there's any cost. I think you're going to have so many cars built. But you're only going to get that deduction of interest if the car is made in the United States of America. So I'm going to sign this. And, Mike, I hope you can get that, because I think it's going to be amazing in terms of the number of cars that are going to be made because of it. And I want to thank Howard Lutnick, our fabulous commerce chairman. That's what he is. He's a chairman. He's a very successful guy, a great guy. And we have a big day, Howard, coming up next week. It's going to be good. That's Liberation Day. That's going to be on the 2nd, and that's going to be reciprocal. And I think people will be impressed. We're going to be very fair. We're going to be very nice, actually. We have not been treated nicely by other countries, but we're going to be nice. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised, but it's going to make our country very rich, because we're the piggy bank that everybody steals from, and they've been doing it for many years, for decades, so we're not going to let it happen. So, but we're going to treat people very nicely. We're going to treat other countries very, very nicely, and I think it's going to have a very positive effect on everybody, including those other countries. So I'll sign this, and we will see you again on April the 2nd. In terms of this, it's going to be another round.
A week from today.
And it's about making America great again, making it strong and prosperous again. Thank you very much.
So Mr. President, on tariffs, Mr. President, on the car tariffs, how do you assure that a car coming into the country is fully built? Could an automaker in Germany say, leave the tires off a car?
Yeah, we're going to have very strong policing, and it's pretty easy to do. If parts are made in America and a car isn't, those parts are not going to be taxed or tariffed. And we'll have very strong policing as far as that's concerned. For the most part, I think it's going to lead cars to be made in one location. You know, right now, a car would be made here, sent to Canada, sent to Mexico, sent all over the place. It's ridiculous. So this is a very simple system. And the beauty of the 25, it's one number. It's not up or down depending on the cost of the car. It's one number. And that number is going to be used to reduce debt greatly in the United States and to build things, reduce taxes. I mean, basically, I view it as reducing taxes and also reducing debt. And within a fairly short period of time, I think we're going to have a balance sheet that's going to be outstanding. Yeah.
How do you assure Americans then that this will not cause a long-term increase in prices?
Well, look, I think we're going to have a market the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, not in this country. You know, we had the best market ever in my first term. It was the strongest market ever, the best economy ever. And I think I think this blows it away. But this is something that people have wanted to do, presidents have wanted to do for a long time. A lot of them didn't understand it. It wasn't a priority for them. But foreign countries understood it very well. And they've really ripped us off at levels that nobody's seen before. But that's not going to happen.
Mr. President, is this for today or on April 2nd, the auto tariffs?
Say it?
Do these auto tariffs go into effect today or on April 2nd?
They go into effect on April 2nd. We're signing today. It goes into effect April 2nd. We start collecting on April 3rd.
Mr. President, do you have any more sectoral tariffs that are coming in on April 2nd?
What does that mean?
Any more tariffs on any other sectors on April 2nd, for example, chips or pharmaceuticals?
Not then, but we will be putting a tariff on lumber. We, as you know, have a tariff already on steel and on aluminum of 25%, and we're taking in tremendous amounts of dollars. More importantly, our steel factories and aluminum factories are roaring. They're starting to roar. They're building new ones. I just heard from Kohrs, which is a big company, a very big steel company, and they're building a massive plant for steel that they wouldn't build without this. So you're going to see things that are going to be actually amazing. And I think you already have. You know, we've had some news conferences where I can't have enough. They want to do news conferences where they announce they're going to spend 20, 30, 40 billion dollars. But Apple, as an example, is spending $500 billion. Okay. Any other?
On the Signal chat, Senator Roger Wicker.
Hold on one second.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Reciprocal tariffs next week. Will those be immediately effective April 2nd on all countries, or will you focus on the worst offenders?
No, we're going to make it all countries, and we're going to make it very lenient. I think people are going to be very surprised. It'll be, in many cases, less than the tariff that they've been charging us for decades. So I think people are going to be very, very surprised.
Why is that? On these auto tariffs,
I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't know. I think we're trying to keep it somewhat conservative.
And on these auto tariffs, we saw obviously the NASDAQ.
Did the market like that?
Down 2% at close, S&P
Nope.
down 1%. What are you concerned
Is that
about
today?
that market reaction?
Today?
Yes, sir.
I didn't say that. I want to see the jobs. I want to see that'll all take care of itself. That could take care of itself in 1 day, 2 days, or 1 week.
Are there any conditions under which you'd remove these auto tariffs, sir, or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office?
Oh, this is permanent. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Are you on the tariffs? Did Elon
Permanent.
at all on these auto tariffs?
No, because he may have a conflict, so we don't talk. I've never talked to him. Elon's amazing. He's never asked me for a favor in business whatsoever. I'm actually a little surprised by it. I might do it. I might not do it. I do what's right, and he'd want me to do what's right. No, he's a patriot. He has never, you know, these are big deals we're talking about. This is probably nothing like this. And I've never had Elon come and say, would you do me a favor with the mandate or the electric mandate or anything. He's never asked me for anything.
Sir, also, what's your response to Republican lawmakers who have said today that your administration should take more accountability and not downplay what's happened with Signal, that we've seen these messages?
The Signal thing
Well, I don't
that
know
I'm now
about
an expert
downplaying.
on.
The press upplays it. I think it's all a witch hunt. That's all. I think it's a witch hunt. I wasn't involved with it. I wasn't there, but I can tell you the result is unbelievable because the Houthis are looking to do something. They want to know, how do we stop? How do we stop? Can we have peace? The Houthis want peace because they're getting the hell knocked out of them. It's been very, very strong. The Houthis are dying for peace. They don't want this. And they're bad. Look, they were knocking ships out of the ocean. You know, we had in the Suez Canal, they only have about 20% of the ships going through. They have to go through a different way, which takes weeks of travel. And that really affects commerce. But the Houthis have been hit hard, and they want to negotiate peace. But I don't think they're quite.
Classified that was shared?
Say it.
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know. I can only tell you this. You know, you don't want to talk about it. The Houthis have been horrible to the world. What they've done, killed a lot of people, and knocked down a lot of ships and planes and anything else. You know, it's not just the ships. And they have been hit. They have been hit harder than they've ever been hit. And they want us to stop so badly, and they've got to stop. They've got to say no mas. But I can only say that the attacks, it's attacks every day, every night. It's not just the one. You're talking about one. The attacks have been very successful, even beyond our wildest expectations. We've hit them very hard, very successfully. And we're going to do it for a long time. We're going to keep it going for a long time.
Senate Republicans have said that they have formally asked the administration for an Inspector General report on the Signal issue. Will you agree to that?
It doesn't bother me. I don't know. You know, I want to find if there's any
slight
mistake,
trend to the downside since market
Signal
close.
doesn't work.
Slight,
it could be that
slight.
Signal's not very good.
Slight,
it's a company.
slight.
Maybe it's not very good. I think we'd rather know about it now. There was no harm done because the attack was unbelievably successful that night, and it has been unbelievably successful every single night for the last 4 or 5 nights. So, and that's the thing that you should be talking about. This is something that should have been done by sleepy Joe Biden, but he was asleep at the wheel, other than when it came to stealing money, of course. Joe Biden should have done this attack on Yemen, which is basically a certain group within Yemen, the Houthis, and this should have been done by
Houthis and the Blowfish.
And it wasn't. And that's caused this world a lot of damage and a lot of problems.
He's responsible, but he's also overseeing the investigation to find out what went wrong. Maybe
who's responsible?
Mike Waltz says that he's responsible.
Well, yeah, Mike Waltz, I guess he said he claimed responsibility, I would imagine. Had nothing to do with anyone else. It was Mike, I guess. I don't know. I was told it was Mike. But again, the attacks were unbelievably successul, and that's ultimately what you should be talking about, I think. But no, Mike did. He took responsibility for it.
Should Secretary consider his position over this?
Say it?
Should Secretary Hegseth consider his position over the signal?
Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with this. Hegseth. How do you bring Hegseth into it? He had nothing to do with it.
That's what I said.
Look, it's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you. And I think that's what we have to, because you use Signal, and we use Signal, and everybody uses Signal, but it could be a defective platform, and we're going to have to find that out.
Short Signal stock.
You've been briefed about the soldiers in Lithuania who are missing?
No, I haven't.
Have you spoken, sir, with the big three automakers about these tariffs? What was their reaction?
I have.
What was their reaction?
It depends on whether or not they have factories here. I can tell you, if
If
they
I
have factories
were
here,
asking
they're
questions,
thrilled.
I would make things
If you
up,
don't have factories
like
here, they're
random
gonna have to get
questions.
going and build
Have
them,
you
because otherwise
been
they have to
briefed
pay
on the
tariffs?
fact that
Very
JD
simple.
Vance can eat
And
46
most of
hot
those have
dogs
pretty
in a
big
sitting?
factories here, like General Motors has
Like,
big factories
fucking
here.
what?
They're going to move their
That's
parts
what I do.
divisions
I think
back
that's
to
the real
United
power
States,
move
'cause
there.
Some of them were made in Canada.
Ask
some
him if
of
he's
them
been
were
briefed
made
on
in
things
Mexico
and then
and
just
other
make
places.
something up.
They'll be moving their parts division back to the United States.
Have you been
In
briefed on
factories
the
where they may
effort
be at 60%
to hire Christian
capacity,
Bale
so they
as a
don't even really have to
legitimate
build too much of
Batman
a
for the
factory.
U.S. Armed Services?
Generally speaking, if they have factories here, plants here, where they make their cars and equipment, but they make their cars here, they are thrilled. Same thing with the steel industry. Steel industry is now paying a 25% tariff, as you know, I put it on last week, and the business is roaring in the United States. And we can't, because of military, we can't lose the steel industry. If I didn't put the initial tariffs on steel in my first term, you wouldn't be able to have a military, because we wouldn't have. Every steel company would be bankrupt in the United States, and every plant would be closed. But now they're booming, and putting this tariff on, this additional tariff for steel and aluminum, it's making them thrive, and it's already happened.
Coming up on the deadline for the TikTok sale, will you extend that deadline if you don't have a deal? Do you support Oracle?
Well, we will have a form of a deal. TikTok is very popular, very successful, very good. We're going to have a form of a deal, but if it's not finished, it's not a big deal. We'll just extend it. I have the right to have the deal and to extend it if I want. So we'll see whether or not we have a deal. We have a lot of interest in TikTok.
Is there a way for a U.S. company to operate it and ByteDance to still have a share of the algorithm?
Well, there are numerous ways you can buy TikTok, and we will find the one that's best for the country, for our country. I'm worried about our country more than anything else with respect to TikTok. And China is going to have to play a role in that, possibly, in the form of an approval, maybe. And I think they'll do that. Maybe I'll give them a little reduction in tariffs or something to get it done, you know, because every point in tariff is worth more money than TikTok, if you think. Every point. Tariff is a much bigger world, and TikTok is big. But every point in tariffs is worth more than TikTok. So in order to get China to do, maybe I'd give them a reduction in tariffs, as an example. Sounds like something I'd do.
Do you think the tariffs are going to be good for Tesla, sir?
Good for who?
Tesla, which makes it good.
Well, he is a fantastic Tesla. Will tariffs be good? I think they may. It could be a net neutral, or they may be good. He has a big plant in Texas. He has a big plant in California. And anybody that has plants in the United States, it's going to be good for, in my opinion.
Mr. President, the European Union has really
education
Tesla liking that question.
How would you handle it if a state like California were to put in place education policy?
You know, I haven't seen a mask in so long. You're wearing a mask. So nice of you. I haven't seen anybody wearing a mask in a long time. It's good. You feel more comfortable, right? Good. That's good. So go ahead.
Dude.
How would you handle it if a state like California were to put in place education policies you disagree with?
Well, I think that California is going to be tougher because they're doing badly on everything they do. You know, everything they touch turns bad. So a place like California would be tougher for education. But what I would see with California is you'd have a Los Angeles department, and you'd have Riverside. You'd go to various places. And I think you'd have some great areas in California, and then you'd have some, like everything else, that doesn't work so well. But ultimately, I think it would be very successful. I think in New York, as an example, you'd go to Long Island, Westchester, you may have Nassau County, Queens County. You break it up in certain ways so that have maybe 5 departments, because of the size, they'd have 5 departments instead of 1. A state like Iowa, you'd have 1. And, I mean, they're just chomping at the bit to get going. So many states are chomping at the bit to get education, and it's going to happen fast, to get the education.
Hello? Bloomberg.
Guess we lost our feed from the White House, straight from the Oval Office. President Trump, in the promised news conference that we were standing by for here, specifically with regard to auto tariffs. This, of course, moved through a number of different topics and onto the whole Signal chat flap. But Kaylee, 25% tariff on all cars not made in the United States. Yep. Here's the thing, not till April 2nd. So questions about why this was added to the schedule today against the backdrop of the Signal scandal may have been answered. The president actually didn't really end up making a lot of news. He signed an executive order that will simply bring us to what he calls Liberation Day, which was already planned for next week.
Yeah, he characterized this as the beginning of Liberation Day, making an announcement now for something that isn't actually going to take
overall
effect
market
until all
slightly
of the other
down.
tariffs, which he was alluding to in his remarks.
Kind of a nothing burger, folks.
The reciprocal tariffs that will go into effect. He said on all countries, though he also said he thinks countries will be pleasantly surprised.
Kind of a nothing burger, if you ask me. Well, anyway, folks, that was something, but that's... You never know what the world's largest casino is going to have for you. I will see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. That many fingers. 9 a.m. bright and early. So wherever you're watching me right now, whether Rumble or YouTube, that's where I'm going to see you. That's the same as this, same as this. You could hide it if you want, but not, well, no, that's 8. You guys get the point. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Be there or be square. I appreciate the good vibes. I'll catch you later. Love you all. Peace.